Welcome to An Outside View. I'm your host, Dick Sicaro, and tonight joining me is Bob Ford. Bob, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, we have some very interesting topics to go over tonight. Tonight's show is dedicated to the recent state appellate tax board hearing that some of our residents went into Boston and with disputed water meter bills. So could you give the viewers in about 5 minutes a quick history of what happened in your situation?
Well, basically, my dispute with the city started in the early part of 2010 when I received a bill for almost $12,000 in the mail, and I thought it was a typo. And I got the bill. It was an actual read of January 19th of 2010, and I called City Hall up in mid-February, and the girl told me no, that was an actual read. And I came to find out later as I did some research on my situation that it was for over 500,000 gallons of water. She asked me to get a reading from the meter, and I gave her the figures that were in my meter, which is in the cellar.
Right.
And her only response was, "Oh my God, you owe a lot more money." She wouldn't tell me what was going on with the meter or anything else. And the strange thing about that was the actual read of January 19, 2010 would have meant that a meter reader would have had to come down to my cellar, because I had later found out that my touchpad was out of service. So the only way that somebody from the city could have got a reading from that is to go down in through my front door and downstairs, which nobody came to my house that day. My wife and I were both home, and that's where the fight started. You know, it's been going up and down for the past couple of years now.
Right. So let me get this straight now. They told you that you had a consumption of how much again? In what time frame?
Well, the first reading was for about 500,000 gallons of water.
500,000 gallons of water.
Correct.
Not 5,000 gallons.
No,
500,000. And over what time period?
And then when they took the meter out 30 days later, there was another 500,000 gallons in the water. So it was about 1.1 million gallons of water that the city.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now I have a couple articles here from the Brockton Enterprise, and my understanding of the situation is if you did in fact get a disputed water bill that you disagreed with, you can go down the city as you did and talk to the proper authorities and see if it was accurate or not accurate. And obviously yours, there was something drastically wrong with it. Mm-hmm. So did they offer you a settlement when you complained?
Initially they did. I sat down with the water systems manager over at Montauk Road, and he hadn't seen the second reading, so he was just working off the first set of figures, and which was $11,700. He offered to knock $7,000 off if I paid him $4,700. And when these things happen, because you don't know how much water that you're accused of taking in or anything else related to that.
Right.
So I declined the offer, stating that I wanted to do some more.
Sure, you want to see the facts behind it, how much.
Yeah.
So a similar case, this happened to several people. From what I understand, there was a quote in one of these articles that there could be as much as 6,000 to 8,000 faulty water meters in the city. And on record, you had a few residents, I believe Jerry Goldston had a similar dispute. And obviously, I don't think he accepted a settlement from the city, so he went into the state appellate tax board. Now, you attended a few of these hearings, and I guess the state appellate tax board ruled in favor of him that something was wrong and he was charged excessively. So now it's probably up to him to go back to the city, maybe dealing with the city solicitor or the DPW or the Water Commission, and give him an offer. And if he's not happy, I'm sure this possibly could end up with lawsuits against the city.
Yeah. Well, the fight that I and many other residents have I think the crux of the whole issue is the so-called quote-unquote good meters, which they pull out of the house.
Right.
Yet myself and many other residents that I've spoken with, once the new equipment is installed, the readings are back down to normal.
Right.
And my favorite statement is which meter is lying and which one is telling the truth. Yet
Right.
the city is standing by the the old good meters, so they claim.
Okay, now in addition, for the viewers' information, the city took a very drastic measure by putting, I believe, thousands of liens on homes in the city if you had a disputed water bill. And I believe at one point in time, the mayor came out and issued a statement on your real estate bill just to pay the real estate tax portion and not the water meter portion, if I'm correct in assuming that.
Yeah, actually, they jumped the gun by about a year because at the end of 2010, they made a statement that no liens would be placed on the homes until early 2012.
Okay. Now, when you place a lien on a home, if the mayor and deeds inform the residents, just pay your real estate bill, and if you have a dispute water bill, don't pay that. It would be difficult for you and myself if, let's say, Nation Star held our mortgage in Texas to call them up and said, the mayor, by the way, said, just pay the real estate portion and not the water bill. I mean, I think you would have some problems there.
Oh, yeah, create a whole can of worms,
Right.
basically.
And in addition, by putting a lien on your house, I think it was your situation, you tried to refinance your home at a low interest rate?
No, because my home was paid for, so I have no
Okay, so
mortgage.
I think that was the LaChance's
Yes, that was
case.
LaChance
So
family,
they
yeah.
attempted, they had a hardship by having a lien on their home where they were prevented from refinancing at a lower rate.
Correct.
So I would assume that if it does come to a lawsuit, they could factor that in, you know, personal pain and suffrage, and I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but also being denied to refinance at a lower rate, which would save them thousands of dollars in interest over the years, because they had a lien put on their home from a faulty water meter.
Yeah, and I know with the Goulston case, his bill was once as high as $22,000, and they kept knocking it down.
Right.
And when he went into the appellate board in January of 2012, the state ruled in his favor. They ruled that the city was in error.
Right.
And because I don't know whether you have seen the actual copy of the Goulston, the ruling from the appellate board, but
I haven't seen a copy of that.
what they did, they instructed the city to take the readings from the new meter, and they also, in one of the other paragraphs, mentioned that the old meter is basically, bottom line is, in layman's language, they said there was something wrong with that meter. It was, you know, without fact, it was ambiguous, and
Okay, now I'm reading a quote right out of the Enterprise. State ruling doesn't hold water in Brockton, and that's a reference to, I believe, Michael Thorson, who is the Public Works Commissioner. And he's quoted as saying that it only applies to one case in the situation of Goulston, not these other cases, but that's yet to be determined.
yeah,
Because it's my understanding that a lot more residents have hearings coming up.
I don't know if there's any more hearings scheduled, but I know there's quite a few people out there that still are having disputes with the city.
Okay, so this could potentially, based on that ruling, this could apply to other residents that have disputed water bills, and it would open up Pandora's box.
Oh, yeah.
Now, another quote here is, state ruling on disputed Brockton water bill could help others. And also, one of these articles quotes Council Michelle Dubois, because I believe she was very active, and she was the councilor that filed a resolve to have a 2-year look back. I believe one woman that had a $100,000 bill, the city settled with her for a much lower amount, and they can only go back to 2 past years of water usage. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what they did. They wound up, I think, with about a $3,400 settlement with her.
Well, that's a substantial difference from $100,000 to
Well, it certainly
$3,400.
is, yeah. Because if she did use that much water, would have mean that she would have lived in the house well over a century, and for a woman 100 years old, she looks pretty good.
Right. Now, Councilor Dubois also quoted saying here that this ruling by the state appellate tax board is a vindication for residents who were mistreated, singling out the Water Commission, the City Solicitor's Office, and the Department of Public Works. She further goes on to say that she couldn't believe the arrogance and the egotistical treatment that the Department of Public Works has given the residents of Brockton is disgusting, Dubois said. Really, some serious repercussions to be brought into the department. And what's your opinion of that statement?
Oh, I firmly believe that she's 100% correct, but the unfortunate thing of the way the government is structured down there at City Hall, they're all appointed positions, and basically they have no accountability to anyone.
Okay, now, I'm going to bring up something very interesting here to the viewers. This is sort of like, you know, ever see David Letterman, his top 10 reasons for something? So you just provided me with this before you came on the air tonight. And I'm going to read the top 8 reasons. Now, this is the reasons by city officials for excessive water consumption, correct?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to save the best for last, but as opposed to 10, there are 8 here. So, first, you must have a leak. Second, lengthy showers. Third, mischievous children playing with the hose. Fourth, excessive brushing of teeth. Fifth, running toilet. 6, faulty dishwasher. 7, filling or topping off a pool. And 8, and the number 1 and most amazing, is the large oak tree in the front yard is sucking up a lot of that water. I mean, this is preposterous. When you had a bill of, I'm looking at an actual audit report that you also provided with me, and it states here, between January 2010 and February 2010, this is an audited report that supposedly your water meter changed out was 17,500 gallons per day. I mean, that's impossible.
I don't even think a 24-hour laundromat would use that much water.
It's incredible, incredible. So now, where do you stand right now?
It's almost like an Abbott and Costello movie about a who's on first situation. Several weeks ago, Michelle Dubois called me, and she had received a call from the city solicitor, Phil Nazarella.
Right.
And right now, as we speak, I have a $13,500 lien on my house. So I called him in person and talked to him, and he offered me a settlement of $5,500, telling me he was going to knock 60% off of that $13,500. And I declined that, stating once again, I did not take that water in the house, and just not good business to pay for something that you didn't use, and you didn't use. And then 3 days later, the deputy mayor, Ken Thompson, called me up,
Right.
and he had an offer of $2,600. I mean, these figures are coming out of the woodwork.
One offered you a substantial amount more, and the other a substantial amount less.
Correct.
And you don't know, is there any one entity that's responsible for determining what you're entitled to, or?
Well, from what I've learned, the DPW is calling most of the shots up there, with Michael Thorson, and supposedly I think Jay Condon, the CFO, is deeply involved in it too. So I'm not sure how much involvement he has, with my particular situation.
Now, tell me, what kind of hardships have been put on you as a result of this? Well, you said that your house is paid in full.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you wanted to take a reverse mortgage on your house, or if you wanted to sell your house and move into public housing, let's just say for an example. Mm-hmm. So right now there's a $13,500 lien on your house.
Yes, right now.
So that lien has not been removed.
No, and they won't do anything about that unless I agree to pay them a certain sum of money. Basically, I think what's going on is, deep down, I think they know that I didn't take that water in, but what I call bureaucratic arrogance. They just won't let them do it. And they want to get something out of me. And this way here, I think the way their psyche is up there, that as long as they get some money from me, then it's an admission that I took the water in, and they're the benevolent city folks.
But I don't understand. They're saying that you used 1.5 million gallons of water, but they want you to pay them something? So because your meter was in dispute, you have not paid the city any water bills?
Oh, I paid all my current water bills. They're
so
fine now.
What are they want past usage or back for 2 years? What are they expecting you to pay them?
Well, it goes from 6 years of estimated readings, And just to give you an example, the way it was, during the estimated period, I was paying the city for, I think it was 2,071 cubic feet of water per quarter, which I paid every bill on time.
Right.
And then, because the crazy bills came in there in early 2010.
Right.
Now, my new meters have been in place for 2.5 years. I've had 2 new meters. The first one went in February of 2010, and then January 2012, they replaced that with another meter.
Right.
That's the new radial read ones where they don't have to come into the home at all. I guess
Right.
everything is done over the airwaves.
Yeah, that's a similar problem they had in New York City as well. They replaced them with these automated water meters, but it's my understanding they're having some glitches with those water meters too. And anything new, you obviously got to work out the
bugs in the system. Yeah.
Right.
But right now, in the 2.5 years that my new meters have been in place with all actual reads,
right.
I'm using about 1,470 cubic feet a quarter. But I was billed for 2071 on the estimated period.
Mm-hmm.
Yet because of those crazy readings, they say they've underestimated me and underbilled me.
Right. Okay.
There's
now,
a 600 cubic feet per quarter difference in my favor, on those readings.
Right. Right. Now, are you confident now the new meters are working for you?
Yeah, they seem to. They're very consistent. And,
Okay. So this is past activity then.
of course, I was going to mention one thing that was thrown at me too. That I have an in-ground swimming pool, and they made several statements. Mr. Ford admitted to filling a swimming pool.
Well, one of the top 8 was topped off the pool.
Yeah. But,
You must have a big swimming pool if it's 17,500 gallons in 1 month. In February, your pool's not open either, unless you live in Florida.
Yeah, you only get 3 months of the year up here in New England.
Right.
But, well, even the pool, they were, I know Mike Thorson and company, they were conjuring up this scenario of me draining and filling this pool constantly. And to give you an idea of the amount of water that's involved, the 1.1 million gallons would fill my pool 61 times.
Right.
Which would mean that the 6 years of the estimated period, that I would have spent the whole summer just draining and filling this pool.
You've done your homework, certainly.
Oh yeah. Well, for openers, you never drain an in-ground pool anyway.
Right. Yeah, I have a pool as well.
Yeah. Do you have an in-ground?
Yes, in-ground
and,
pool.
The displacement of the water actually holds the vinyl liner in place.
Right.
And if you were to drain that, especially during the winter months, the walls would start to contract in on you, and you're talking, several $1,000s to put a new liner in.
I have an artesian well that's about 300 feet, so I don't have to worry about using city water to fill my pool.
But what I usually do is, when come the springtime, there's always plenty of water on the cover, from the snow that melted. I have a little pump, and I pump that back into the pool, and usually I'm about 95% full, when I'm ready to open it up. So I do add a little city water. And
then you have the covers where the snow melts and it fills the pool up. All right, I'm going to throw some more figures out at you. As I said before the start of the show, it's estimated that there are about 8,000 to 9,000 water meters in the city that were possibly defective. And the city put 6,500 liens on people's homes, so that ties right in with that number. The city also made a statement as well that they're estimating 714 accounts as of January 2010 have received estimated and potentially inaccurate bills for at least a year and a half. I mean, this is mind-boggling if all these people go forward. I mean, this could potentially bankrupt the city if the courts rule in favor of the people.
Yeah, that's what they're afraid of right now.
Right.
That people are going to come forward. Well, that's why Mr. Thorson, the DPW commissioner, made the statement that it only applies to this
Well,
one
he's
person.
hoping that only applies to one case, obviously. If it applies to 6,800 cases, they have a serious issue on their hands.
But even if, say, the outside chance that it only affects one person.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be an outcry from people that have the same situation as Mr. Goldston and myself.
Right. What I find very fascinating is you just presented me with some unpaid bills with the Brockton Rocks here, estimating about $75,000 in outstanding past due water bills. I'm wondering if the city officials have put a lien on the stadium up there.
As far as I know, they've taken no action on that at all.
Right.
like a sacred cow down there, so they...
Okay. And also, there's been a big debate with the city council on Stonehill College. I brought this point up. Councilor Todd Petty, for years, have been saying they're going to review the Stonehill College agreement and see if they're paying their fair share of tying into our sewer system. And from what I've read, and I don't know if it's factual or not, it appears that they're paying the same rates when they had two buildings when they first started 50 years ago as they're paying now, and now it's a mini city. And City Solicitor Nezzarella is supposedly going to look into the agreement. I don't know if he has or not, but it doesn't seem right that the average working person that can ill afford this is being assessed these exorbitant water rates, and liens are putting on your house, costing you further hardship, where if you couldn't sell your house unless it's paid off, you can't refinance at a lower rate, and it causes you extreme personal hardship. So what advice would you give to the viewers out there that are in your same boat? What should they be doing?
Well, first of all, I try to contact your city councilor and let them know that you'd like them to investigate it. Secondly, the most useful tool I found was my water consumption report, because it gave me a history of my usage for the last 14 years. And that sort of showed me, that what was happening with my water situation.
Right.
Like what I did, I segmented mine into 3 parts. There was from 1998 to the end of 2003. There was 5 actual reads spaced in between sporadic intervals, with the last one being at the end of 23.
Right.
It showed the city that I was using about almost, I think it was 1,795 cubic feet of water per quarter. And that's with 4 of us living in the house. My daughter got married in 2005, which left 3 residents. And but right after that, when the estimated period started, it jumped up to almost 2,100 cubic feet for 6 years, which I paid the city. And then, like I just mentioned before, with the new meter, I'm using 1,476 cubic feet of water per quarter. And this is with the pool being in use every single year for the past 24 years that I've lived in the home.
Right.
And I even was very upfront with these folks and told them that, I do use water in the summer, and I open my pool every year, and I'm willing to pay for the water I've used.
Right.
In fact, it shows that, there is a spike in the past 2 or 3 summers.
Right, and you went through the ropes. You contacted your counselor. You met with the Water Commission. Did you ever sit before them and explain your problem to them?
Not with the Water Commission itself. I went and met with the Water Systems Manager.
Okay, because I have a quote in one of these articles as well here from Patrick Quinn. He was a guest on my show when I talked about the situation a couple months back, and he agreed with the Public Works Commissioner, Michael Thorison's statement that the State Appellate Tax Board decision regarding the Goulston hearing won't have an effect on other cases. However, Patrick Quinn also said the state is indicating to the city that the same formula should apply to the other outstanding claims. That's a powerful statement right there.
Definitely, I think...
so the state is sending a definite message to the city.
Yeah, because actually when I went before the appellate board, I had the assistant city solicitor, Gil Chapani. He's since left that position. There's a new assistant city solicitor, but he was very, very zealous in his defense of the city and he did his utmost to prevent me from being heard. And the adjudicator or the moderator, I'm not sure what his title is up there in Boston, but sadly, he looked over at me and he said, I have to agree with him. He said, you were late, and then he started spouting all this legal jargon, as to why I should not be heard.
Right.
And then he turned around and admonished Mr. Chapani, that this isn't the first time we've heard about this from Brockton, and basically he warned him to go back to the city and get their act together, or the state will come in and do something about it.
Okay, well, we're kind of winding down on our time. We may have a couple minutes left, so what are your plans going forward right now? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm not going to give up the fight. I'm going to fight it to the very end. In fact, I sat down with Jerry Goulston a couple of weeks ago when we went through my water consumption report, and using the state's formula, instead of me owing the city, we determined that the city owes me $831, based on my water usage during the estimated period.
Now, I'm looking at a quick photo here, time for change at the water department. Michelle Dubois said there should be serious repercussions. This woman, Brockton homeowner, Mary Ann Silva, takes part in the Brockton Water Party on Monday afternoon at City Hall, a protest that she and other residents call inaccurate and exorbitant water bills. So it's sort of like the Tea Party in Boston, the water party in Brockton. Did you take part in that?
Yeah, it was a big demonstration on the front steps. And
how many people?
there's probably a couple of hundred people that came there.
Did anyone come out and address you, any city official?
No, the city officials, they stayed inside, that's in behind those thick walls.
Right.
They feel insulated behind those walls.
Uh-huh. Okay, would you like to say anything else? I believe we have about 2 minutes left. Would you like to inform the viewers of any closing statements?
Yeah, basically what I'd like to do is maybe somewhere along the line form a committee to help these people that don't understand what's going on with their water consumption. And especially people that have mortgages and have the banks paid the lien.
Right.
And I know several people that are just struggling right now just to meet those mortgage payments, which there's more than an outside chance that these bills are wrong anyway. And the city already has its money, so it's going to be a fight to get that money back from the city and then pay off that lien.
Right. Well, I'm sure, based upon your testimony tonight, that this problem is not going away. Hopefully they resolved it going forward with the new water meters. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more on this subject matter in weeks and months and possibly years to come. This could drag out in the courts for years. But I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. I want to thank you for exposing the situation to the residents out there that may have a problem. And I wish you the best of luck with your future endeavors trying to get this resolved. Sounds like you've been through an awful lot, and it sounds like you're not a quitter either.
No,
So I wish you the best of luck, and I'll close off and say thank you for joining An Outside View. I'm your host, Dick Sicaro, and remember, the show must go on. Thank you, Bob.
All right. Well, hopefully it did some good.
It is no longer the choice between violence and non-violence in this world. It's non-violence.